Hi everybody, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Erin.
And we're on part 2 of our fun fact article. Have you got some more fun facts for us?
I do. I've been looking up some fun facts all week, actually.
What
getting
have you
ready
found?
for this. Well, did you guys know that peanut butter can be turned into diamonds?
You're saying I have a big jar of diamonds at home, but I just don't know it?
Well, not quite. Now, this is a new discovery that scientists have looked into. They are saying that it's a very slow process.
Oh.
It takes weeks to do.
Oh.
And they also said it's quite messy and it requires very high heat and pressure. But
Which makes sense, because that's how,
diamonds
carbon
are
is
made.
turned into diamonds.
Right,
So,
and they say it's the same process that
Okay.
the way that carbon turns into diamonds is
just-
the way that peanut butter turns into
but
diamonds.
instead of the pressure of earth and stone crushing it, then
They have a special machine that does this.
that's very fancy. I will look into it, but for now, we've got to go and look at our second fun fact for the month. Let's start the article.
Reading. Fun facts. Scientists have discovered that mushrooms can do something that no other living thing can. What is it? A. Mushrooms cause animals to grow or shrink, depending on which kind they eat. B. Mushrooms create rain in order to help themselves grow. C. Mushrooms grow in colorful patterns to show that they're dangerous to eat. You've got the magic touch if you chose B. In humid air, water droplets form on mushroom surfaces. When a mushroom releases its spores into the air, the droplets are released with the spores. As the spores spread into the air, the droplets grow until they form raindrops. The more spores and droplets that are released, the more raindrops are produced. In some cases, this could mean that enough droplets are produced to form rain clouds. By doing this, mushrooms create the very thing they need to keep growing and releasing more spores: water. What's more, all the life around them, including humans, benefits from the water they create as well.
All right, so the first line of today's article says, scientists have discovered that mushrooms can do something that no other living thing can. What is it?
Okay.
Well, first off, anyone who knows me will know that I think mushrooms are very gross.
You've mentioned that.
But I'll admit I'm always interested in a good science fun fact, so I'm willing to see what this is all about. But before we do that, let's look at the noun mushroom, spelled M-U-S-H-R-O-O-M, mushroom. Now, a mushroom is a type of plant. It's also called a fungus in the science world that has a short stem and a round top. Now, some mushrooms are okay to eat, but others have poison in them, and you should not eat them.
Fair enough.
Now, another example of mushroom could be, my mother made mushroom and potato soup for dinner.
That sounds great to me, but you're not
Doesn't
going to eat
sound
that,
great
are
to
you?
me,
Oh,
no.
well, never mind. So why are mushrooms, what is this one thing they can do that no other living thing can? Is the answer A, mushrooms cause animals to grow or shrink, depending on which kind they eat. Okay, shrink is a verb. It's spelled S-H-R-I-N-K, shrink, and it just means to become smaller in size.
Okay.
For example, I'm now much taller than my grandmother because she shrank in her old age. That is true. My grandmother, my mother, they're all getting a little smaller.
My grandmother's actually very short now.
Now, I wonder about this. I think the writer of this article may have been watching Alice in Wonderland.
A little bit.
Okay.
That's sort of coming from a book.
Yeah,
Yep.
she can grow or shrink when she eats mushrooms.
Right.
So,
Now, we've got another phrase in that sentence, depend on. Now, if something depends on something else, it's directly decided by that thing. So in this sentence, it's saying that if an animal eats one type of mushrooms, it will grow. If it eats another type of mushrooms, it will shrink or get smaller. Another way we could use this is, depending on how much time we have, we might be able to stop for ice cream.
So if we have time, we will. If we don't, we won't.
Right.
Okay, answer B for what is the special thing mushrooms can do. Mushrooms create rain in order to help themselves grow.
Oh, that sounds kind of difficult.
Yeah, well, in order to, this phrase in order to is used to say that you'll do one thing to make something else happen. For example, I asked Mary to watch the baby in order to get 2 hours of rest. So I wanted that rest. So in order to get it, so I could get it, I asked Mary to watch the baby.
That makes sense. Now, we've got a third option for our mushrooms. What can they do? Answer C says, mushrooms grow in colorful patterns to show that they're dangerous to eat.
Well, some of them are colorful. We've kind of said that.
Yeah.
But do they grow in patterns, with circles, squares,
Well,
rhomboids?
I don't know. Like I've seen lots of pictures of colorful mushrooms, but I'm just really not sure if that means they're dangerous or not.
Well, I think it's A because Alice ate them and she grew.
Well, I don't know if this is really based on a story, so
How do we know the story wasn't based on real life?
No, I'm going to go with answer C, because I know that mushrooms are quite colorful.
Okay, well, the article says you've got the magic touch if you chose B. Both wrong. Oh, well. Magic touch is today's shortcut for you, so let's find out what our friends have to say about it.
Shortcut for you.
Ugh, I really want some jam, but I can't get this jar open.
Here, why don't you let me try?
Sure, but you won't be able to open it. It's stuck on, so... Wait, how did you do that?
You mean open it? It was easy.
You must have the magic touch.
You were relying on magic to open the jar? No wonder you couldn't do it.
Oh, to have the magic touch means to have the ability to do something well that not everyone else can.
Okay, so to have the magic touch means 魔术般的特长，有做好某事的长才。
You got it. Hey, I have a couple of things that need fixing around the house. We could see if you have the magic touch to help with those too.
Oh, I just remembered that my magic touch only works on jars. Too bad. Got to go.
So magic touch, this phrase means that someone has a special ability to do something well. For example, Joey has the magic touch when it comes to baking. His cakes are always perfect.
Oh, lucky. All right, well, let's find out a little bit more about these magic mushrooms. The article says, in humid air, water droplets form on mushroom surfaces. Now, let's look at the adjective humid, spelled H-U-M-I-D, humid. This is something that's happens quite often in Taiwan.
Oh, yeah.
It describes when the air is hot and wet, often right before it's about to rain. Now, humid air makes people feel very uncomfortable.
It does a bit.
Now, as an example, we could say, I hope it rains soon. The humid air is making me sweaty.
Yeah, it's just when the air is kind of, there's a lot of water content in the air, and it's kind of just waiting to turn into liquid when it hits something. Usually if it hits something cooler, it'll turn from its gas form into its liquid form.
Right, it'll start raining.
And that forms on the surfaces of mushrooms.
Right.
The word surface is spelled S-U-R-F-A-C-E, surface, and the surface is the top layer of something or the outermost layer of something. For example, this rubber toy floats on the surface of the water.
Oh, so like the top
a
of the
little duck.
water.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's also good to note that droplets are just drops of water. So now let's see what happens to these water droplets. The article says, when a mushroom releases its spores into the air, the droplets are released with the spores. Now, in this sentence, the verb release, spelled R-E-L-E-A-S-E, release, means that a substance spreads into the area around it. It's like the mushroom is letting go of its spores. So now release can also mean to stop holding something, like I released my son's hand and he ran into the playground. Okay, now another example could be, this is for like the first definition of release, the heat from the cars is released into the air.
I see. So it's like it just kind of comes out from that thing. Okay,
Right.
well, what comes out here is the spores and the water droplets at the same time. You were probably wondering, what on earth is a spore? A spore, S-P-O-R-E, spore, is a cell that is made by some plants, okay, including mushrooms, and it's like a seed, okay? It's kind of like the very starting point from where a new kind of plant can grow.
Right.
Because the spore will float away, it'll land somewhere, and if that place it lands is good for it, a new one starts to grow.
Right.
So that's basically what it's for. It's how new plants grow. That's how they make babies.
Right.
This plant, for example, this plant releases its spores into the air. When they land, they can grow into new plants.
All right. Well, what happens next after that? The article says, as the spores spread into the air, the droplets grow until they form raindrops.
Okay, so it's like the little droplets come and then they join together until there's enough to make it an actual bit of rain.
Yes.
So the article adds, the more spores and droplets that are released, the more raindrops are produced.
No, that makes sense.
It does. Now, this is a kind of a combined phrase, the more something, ... the more something, ... And we use it to say that as one thing increases or becomes more, then something else also either increases or changes in another way. Okay?
Yes.
It doesn't always mean they both increase. For example, the more I thought about Frank's crazy idea, the more I knew it wouldn't work. So here, the more I think about it, the less likely it seems. You can use that as well. The more something, the less something. That sort of thing. The more I live in Taiwan, the less I miss living in England, kind of thing.
That makes sense. All right, well, let's read on. The article says, in some cases, this could mean that enough droplets are produced to form rain clouds.
That's a lot of mushrooms.
Right, so a lot of mushrooms is a lot of spores, a lot of water droplets, all combined together, maybe enough to make a rain cloud.
Yeah, and a rain cloud, I guess, would be a group of like
water
droplets that are, I guess they're going to be still kind of like a gas, but sort of turning into liquid. That's what a rain cloud is. It's just this water in the air at the point where it's just about getting cold enough to drop the rain.
Right. Now, we saw the phrase in some cases here. It's another way of saying in some examples or in some situations. That means it won't do this action every time, but it will sometimes, depending on the plant, the area, or anything else that might affect it. Another example, we could say, in some cases, such as sickness or illness, it's okay to stay home from school.
But not at others. You got to go to school.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mushrooms, as they do this, they create their own rain clouds. But why? Why do they go through this process? Is it an accident? Well, no. Like most things, everything that any plant or animal does, there's a reason for it. Humans are pretty much the only animal that does things without a reason.
Right.
Animals and plants do everything for a reason. And the article says, by doing this, mushrooms create the very thing they need to keep growing and releasing more spores. Water. Okay. So they go, okay, out go the spores, we need to make more spores and we need to keep growing. So the water that we push off ourselves when we release our spores gives us the ability to grow and make more. Pretty smart. So here we use the word very before a noun. So it's acting here as an adjective. Normally very is a bit more like an adverb. Here it's an adjective. It's before the noun thing. Normally we use it as an adverb. He is running very fast. Okay, we're modifying fast. Here we're using it to modify thing, and we do this to make a strong point to say we're talking about exactly one specific thing or person and saying this is what it is, this is what it was. So it's kind of a synonym for exactly. Okay. Or exact. So, for example, Ben said, "It wasn't me." Those were his very words. Those were his exact words would be another way to say it. So very, when it's used as an adjective, means exact.
Right, okay. Well, we're at the final line of today's Fun Facts article, and it says, what's more, all the life around them, including humans, benefits from the water they create as well. So
works for us.
Yep. The phrase "what's more" is another way of adding more information to what you're talking about already. For example, these flowers are beautiful to look at. What's more, they smell lovely.
We also saw the word benefit. Here it's being used as a verb. Okay, it's spelled B-E-N-E-F-I-T, benefit. And if you benefit from something, then you are helped by that thing in some way. Okay, if you benefit somebody else, then you kind of help another person. For example, many people will benefit from the new treatment for this disease. Okay, they've got a new treatment and a lot of people will be helped by it. All right, that's the end of the article, but we're not quite done because it's time for today's For You Chat question.
All right.
For You Chat.
Okay, what's our question? We've learned some cool things about mushrooms, but what are some other interesting plants and what makes them special?
Well, I was doing a little bit of research on the internet, as I do.
You nerd.
And I learned about a cool tree called the dragon's blood tree.
Fancy name. Sounds like it's from some kind of video game.
It does. Now, this tree is shaped like an umbrella. Okay, so it's got a really big umbrella top.
Yep.
And that keeps the roots in the shade.
Makes sense.
Now, this tree only lives in one area of the world. It's a small island in the Middle East, and it's in a desert.
I've actually read about this one too. Yeah.
Right, so it doesn't get much water.
Socotra Island?
Actually, you know what? I can't remember the name.
I think its name's Socotra Island.
Yeah. But what's interesting about this tree, which is where it gets its name, is that the sap or the liquid inside the tree is dark red. So it kind of looks like blood.
Okay, well, there's another interesting one here you've mentioned on my handy sheet. It's a lithops or lithops.
Lithops, yeah.
And this is a plant that survives by pretending it's a rock. So nothing eats it. Some goat comes by and goes, "That's a rock, don't eat it." But it's really a plant. It's just got a very good camouflage or disguise. They also grow small yellow flowers.
That's true. I watched a video of it on the internet.
Pretty smart plant.
Yeah, and so it just looks like a big grey rock, and then it slowly opens up.
Well, some octopuses do that as well, don't they? They pretend to be rocks so they don't get bothered. They can jump out and catch things. All right, well, that's so many interesting facts for you we've given you over the last 2 days. Hope you've enjoyed it, but we're out of time. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Erin.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fun facts. Scientists have discovered that mushrooms can do something that no other living thing can. What is it? A. Mushrooms cause animals to grow or shrink, depending on which kind they eat. B. Mushrooms create rain in order to help themselves grow. C. Mushrooms grow in colorful patterns to show that they're dangerous to eat. You've got the magic touch if you chose B. In humid air, water droplets form on mushroom surfaces. When a mushroom releases its spores into the air, the droplets are released with the spores. As the spores spread into the air, the droplets grow until they form raindrops. The more spores and droplets that are released, the more raindrops are produced. In some cases, this could mean that enough droplets are produced to form rain clouds. By doing this, mushrooms create the very thing they need to keep growing and releasing more spores: water. What's more, all the life around them, including humans, benefits from the water they create as well.
Vocabulary Review.
Mushroom. Terry cut up some mushrooms and put them in the salad. Shrink. My new sweater shrank when I washed it, and now it's too small. Humid. The air is so humid today. I think it's going to rain soon. Surface. Can you see the baby ducks swimming on the surface of the pond? Release. When you get too hot, your body releases water to help you cool down. Benefit. The English classes I'm taking will benefit me when I travel to England this summer.